Let us see, Midoriya Izuku. What power do you hold behind that fist of yours? What's up, guys? I'll go here, and here we are to do a breakdown and review for chapter 411 of My Hero Academia, which is known as I Genuinely Forget. We'll get into that in a second because it is not on the first page, and I can't see it, nor can I. I don't even think I read the chapter title in the live reaction. I'm really bad at that. But let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Editing me, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. And fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, Shigaraki, bro. You think like all that regeneration, all them quirks, all that extra juice, and even danger sense will make him realize how dangerous them dry behind lips are. Go put on some Vaseline, bros. Come on, you don't got that built in. But nah, this chapter has a lot of little bits and bombs and bibbly boos with inside it. And of course, I want to break them all down. So we shall not waste any more time. Let's actually hop right into chapter 411, which is known as, where is it? Where is it on chapter title? Where is the chapter title? I'm actually genuinely wondering. Does it just not have one? Am I lost in the? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it our chapter title? No, I'm actually genuinely looking right now. Like, maybe there's a reason I didn't read it in the live reaction, which you can check out over on Patreon for as low as $1 a month. Or remember, for as low as $3 a month to check out the live reaction for is a solid beefy 20 minutes. But with that being the case, yeah, I don't even see the. Oh, there we go. Finally, shoot. It's right there. I am literally blind. Chapter 411, The Greatest Evil. But, of course, let's actually hop into the greatest evil itself. So we open up and we do get to see the inside of the Vestige world. Question, once again, you're looking at a guy who doesn't particularly like quirks as a power system, doesn't like the Vestige world as a concept and stuff like that, so I'm assuming I forgot something. Can someone explain to me why, like, this is where they, like, what happens if they fall into the void? Like, what is this general swirling of energy and stuff like that? Where does that door, do we ever find out where that door goes? Like, where it opens to and where, like, can they leave from here? Like, I'm not sure. How, and another question, how tangible is this area? Like, is this actually like a place? Like a spiritual place? Obviously not like a physical place, right? Because, like, this would exist inside, like, Midoriya's body. But, like, how much of what is what? I don't know. Like, what is the logic behind this area? Because I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was explained. So I'm not going to chalk this up to, oh, quirks are nonsense. I'm going to chalk this up to, oh, pencil forgot. So, like, if y'all can just quickly re-explain the meta of the one for all quirk vestige world to me, I greatly appreciate it because it has left my brain. I'm pretty confident we got an explanation. I forget if we ever got the reveal of the door, though. I feel like the door was a plot point that may have meant something, but I don't remember what it was supposed to mean. Yeah, I got nothing. But with that being the case, we see that Yoichi, he's about the business. As he says, I hate to say this, but we can't let ourselves be sentimental. This is now a battle between the new generation, and we need to put an end to Shigaraki. That's the only reason we're still here. Which once again does feed into the idea that once All for One is destroyed, One for All will automatically be destroyed, but I feel like that's kind of it's kind of iffy. Like, I do think One for All, but the thing is, though, a lot of people are going with the whole idea that Midoriya may be telling the story from, like, heaven or something like that, even though we see a flash forward. And the reason people are saying that is because it really feels like One for All and All for One are kind of destined to perish with each other. Like, once All for One, the quirk, not the person. The person's cooked. Presumably. He has some sort of weird trump card instead of Shigaraki in the original One for All, or All for One copy. The original All for One copy, or the original All for One quirk. So, like, there is something with All for One that's still feasibly cooking if Hori wants to pull that out. He wouldn't, that would be one of the plot lines that I hope Hori forgets about. But, with that being the case, there still is the idea here that danger is afoot, and that ultimately due to the danger that One for All itself poses as, a quirk that can only realistically be handled by a quirkless individual, which are becoming more and more rare nowadays. And that quirkless individual would have to fit the criteria of One for All on like a physical level, a spiritual level, a mental level, a determination level. It feels like One for All and All for One are just destined to perish with each other, but I don't know. I'm not entirely too sure. But Yoichi is, once again, he's fully on the whole idea of like, hey, yo, bro, we gotta stop him. Now, notably, he does say put an end to Shigaraki. That does not mean execute Shigaraki. That could mean knock him out. That could mean restrain him. That could mean like break all his finger. Whatever it means, it could mean multiple different things. But presumably, it seems like Yoichi's like, nah, we gotta get bro up out of here. And we even see Nana herself being like, because you gotta realize, out of all the One for All users, outside of like literally Yoichi himself, she likely has the most conflicted feelings about Shigaraki, because that's still her grandson, right? Like, even though this isn't really Nana's been gone for who knows how long, like however old All Might was when he lost Nana. I think it's like upwards like 20, maybe 30 years ago for Nana losing her life. But like, this Nana is still a copy of her personality. Sure, it is literally kind of just float given a spiritual form, but it still is Nana. So of course, you ask any child or grandparent to, well, no, not any child. You ask any parent or grandparent to strike down their own kin. Of course, it's gonna sit rough with them. And I do like how Nana doesn't, like, once again, purely visual storytelling here. Hori's fantastic with his expressions. She just has a tight mouth. She's just, well, not tight mouth. That, not that way, though, probably. But with that being the case, she's tight-lipped. She doesn't say a word or anything. She just accepts what has to happen here, which makes sense because while we know she was for Midoriya's idea of like trying to empathize and understand with him, possibly save Shigaraki, I think she knows, like, worst comes to worst, if that does not pan out, executing Shigaraki is the only reasonable option. Unless All for One were to perish and his decay quirk with it, there's just no way, means, reason, or metric to keep Shigaraki alive. Because at any moment he could sneeze the wrong way and half the country's gone. And we see the level of devastation and power that Shigaraki definitively has access to within this very chapter. However, with that being the case, we see that the main thing that's holding them back from at least putting Shigaraki on hold, putting him on pause, doing something, is that regeneration. And at least in my opinion, that is true. And it makes it so that I 100% believe to some degree or another, All for One, if only subconsciously, is influencing Shigaraki. And you may be wondering, what's on that? What you mean by that? And the reason I say this is because right now, there is no reason for Shigaraki to stay. No reason at all. Not a good reason in the world for Shigaraki to stay where he is and actually battle Midoriya. Because as noted here, his regeneration is so good that Midoriya using full 100% through Fajin, through the obviously 60% power of One for All, and stacking Black Whip and Float on top of that, all that, and it's still not doing anything relatively important to Shigaraki. He's just casually keep hitting me. Oh no, my fingers. Up, they're back. Oh no, my face. Oh, it's back. Oh no, my left big toe. Oh, it's back. Like, legitimately, right now, even though Midoriya has clearly shown the ability to do possibly lethal damage to Shigaraki, like, still, one of the coldest panels in the entire series for Midoriya is him simply immediately removing Shigaraki's fingers. It still is true that ultimately he's kind of just doing chip damage. Like, what's an example? It always goes back to Kingdom Hearts. I'm sorry. But in Kingdom Hearts 2, I believe, I forget, it's the Lexius mushroom in Agrabah, in the Cave of Wonders, in the treasure room. Remember that mushroom? And remember how it, like, kept regenerating? Like, the reason it was so hard to beat, if if not flat out impossible to beat in the early games, because your combos simply weren't doing enough damage. You essentially always want to go in there with Fire Boost Faraga on on Final Form in order to get that, because its HP regenerates consistently. That's Shigaraki's issue. Even if Midoriya is like, say Shigaraki, like a Kingdom Hearts character, has numerous health bars. Say Midoriya could just, like, if he just glasses Shigaraki's jaw hard enough, he can take a whole health bar off. By the time Midoriya is going in for the swing with the second punch, Shigaraki is already healed from the first one. That's the thing. He's kind of just an endless motion machine at this point, to the point where it is basically impossible for him to take any lethal damage from Midoriya. And top that off with what we see him acknowledge this chapter, Midoriya isn't trying to execute him. At least from my understanding, because I've seen a lot of people try to justify, and to be fair, to each their own. I'm not even saying, I always critique Midoriya for it, but I'm not saying you put me in Midoriya's shoes and I'd even be able to do it. But what a lot of people have told me, especially my friends who try to rationalize it for me in Midoriya's actions, they're like, well, Midoriya is just going with Gran Torino's idea of you can save someone by executing them. He's going to execute Shigaraki in order to save him. But like, clearly that's not the case. If it was the case, he would have gone through the neck, or like any vital organ. He would have torn out his heart, his lungs. He would have done something actually genuinely lethal. But no, he's been playing patty cake with the man, and we even see that he refuses in this very chapter to try and take any sort of lethal action against Shigaraki. So very clearly, Midoriya has proven to Shigaraki that, oh, by the way, not only can I not do any permanent damage to you, but I also do not actually plan to execute you at all. So realistically, there is nothing from keeping Shigaraki to turn around, turn tail, and dip. Just vacate. Just literally, he could just leave instantly, and no one will be able to catch him. Well, here's the thing. Say Midoriya is able to catch him, what's Midoriya going to do? Punch him again? Oh no! Gear shift is going to kick in, and he's going to be paralyzed for who knows how long. And then, bada bing, bada boom. Once again, especially if Shigaraki isn't even being influenced, right? Let's just say he really wants Midoriya gone. He can literally just let Midoriya run out the clock. The stamina clock. One of them has basically infinite stamina, the other doesn't. And of course, the one with the infinite stamina is Shigaraki, who has absolutely no issue with doing anything lethal to Midoriya or the rest of the world while he's on that type of timing. And he is clearly on that type of timing. It is going to be tragic, unbelievably pneumatic, and you know it's going to be automatic when it comes to Shigaraki doing lethal damage. So it's, with that being the case, it's why I think Shigaraki's still being affected. And another reason I think he's being affected is, look at this. We see Shinomori get alerted by Danger Sense. And being the Chad he is, he's the one who notices the gigantic one-for-all, well, nah, I always get the name confused. The all-for-one hand. He recognized that Shigaraki's going in for a good grip. And with that being the case, we see him save everyone else by knocking them away. The question, though, like, once again, what happens if you fall off this platform? Where do you go? Do you just de-atomize? Do you de-quirkify? Like, I don't know what exists beyond this void. And it concerns me. And it excites me. But it mostly concerns me, because I have no idea, like, what's the means and metric for this? What does it matter? Like, and with the grip, right? Because we know in the real world, Shigaraki had his fingers chopped off the moment he went to grab Midoriya. But of course, the palm was still there. But in the Vestige world, we see the palm. I guess the palm just in general represents all for one, the quirk itself, and then it coming in and consuming somebody. Because we see what happens is it's like that claw from Toy Story, as we see ultimately Shinomori gets got. He gets grabbed by the hand and gets dragged away. And his last words to them, maybe for the entire series, who knows, it may be like that, where he says, "I leave the ninth to you." And he is lost in the darkness. And with that being the case, he's gone. But of course, once again, it's not like Shigaraki needed Danger Sense. It's not like he needs one for all. It's not like he needs anything that Midoriya has to offer him. He doesn't even need the fight to be real. In fact, it may be better and more entertaining if he lets Midoriya go off and recover for a bit while he destroys all of Japan. He could just leave, right? But no, he goes out of his way to reach in and grab one of the quirks of One for All. If only subconsciously his body and brain are desperate to reunite. They're desperate to reunite with One for All. Because why else go in there and grab it? Why? Shigaraki, you got something you want to tell us, bro? Is there something intriguing in that little gaggle of individuals that you find to be your allies? Well, not your allies, your enemies. Why would you go in there unless you want a little something, Shigaraki? So I do think he is being influenced. And top that off with the fact that he just doesn't leave. Like, once again, no real reason for him to stay this long when he could just dip on out of there. And Midoriya has to chase him. Because once again, Midoriya is the challenger here. There is no... Shigaraki has nothing to... He doesn't owe Midoriya anything as he goes to destroy everything. Well, Midoriya needs to put his everything on the line in order to make sure Shigaraki doesn't go around and just destroy all of Japan. But with that being the case, obviously, we cut back to the last chapter and we get the notification once again from Danjiburo. Or Danjiburo? I have no idea how to say that guy's name. But we see that Danger Sense has been stolen. So, bro, Midoriya stocks, no, they're falling, no. The stock market for Midoriya is just going out the window, dog. Now, here's the thing, right? There is still some hope left over, even though Danger Sense has been stolen. How good that hope is, that's for you to decide. But with that being the case, the reason I say this isn't the worst thing is because even though Midoriya is using function, he is using full 100%, he is using gear shift, he's only using the base power of All for One, not All for One, I keep messing that up, of One for All at only around 50, maybe 60%, I think 60 was the number. And then he stacks Fajin to get that extra 40% to do a full 100%. But with that being the case, he still does have other options. That last 40% that he could tap into. Yeah, so he has a certain degree of freedom and flexibility that he doesn't necessarily need to dive into just yet, even with Danger Sense gone. Because once again, it seems like Shigaraki's mostly playing with him. Like, notably, the only quirks we've seen Shigaraki display, even after this chapter, are Decay and All for One. Oh, well, actually, no, he does use some, like, air blasts, like, later on in the chapter. But, like, very specifically, Shigaraki's not necessarily going all out either. So, both are sort of kind of just playing a fancy game of patty cake with their prime All Might levels of strength, but neither of them are really like trying to really get rid of each other. So both have deeper depths they can dive into, which is why I think while this is a bad scenario, it's not the worst. However, I will kind of agree with Shigaraki. In his like estimation, he's like, oh, so this is the power passed down through generations. My master had a hard time trying to steal it. Whatever. I couldn't care less, but I'll make executing you easier. I still don't 100% buy that. Once again, just because he's still here. He's still here when he has no reason to be here. Though I do find it funny how easy it was for him to take a piece of One for All. Though admittedly, like, presumably what All for One was always specifically going for was just taking the whole quirk. Like, literally stealing the cup, not a garnish on the cup, to go with my earlier analogy. So, like, if there were, well, Midoriya's the 9th. Only was the 8th. If there are 7 different, well, 6, cause let's say, because One for All is the cup itself, right? And then, say the fruit garnish. I'm sorry, I have no idea. I don't do this. I'm not a tender or anything like that. But like, say the cup itself is One for All. I think All for One was always trying to steal the whole cup. Like the image that gets shown later in the chapter about for the cup analogy in specific. Wait, am I missing it? Am I lost in the sauce? I could have sworn there was a cup image here. Somewhere in the chapter. Where? I know there's one. Am I? Yeah, here. So like, One for All is the cup. Say the cup itself is One for All. I think All for One was always trying to steal the whole cup. Like the image that gets shown later in the chapter about the cup analogy in specific. Wait, am I missing it? Am I lost in the sauce? I could have sworn there was a cup image here. Somewhere in the chapter. Where? I know there's one. that whole thing. If anything, the previous 7 quirk users would be, well, 6 quirk users, because, you know, One for All itself is the cup. They would be the garnishes, and the juice would be like their life force or their power, quote unquote, that they poured into the cup itself. So essentially, the thing here would be that All for One wanted the whole cup, everything inside the cup, and the garnishes on top of it. Essentially, instead of Shigaraki, say you were out and about, and Shigaraki were to come steal your drink, he wouldn't really have stolen your drink. He would have stolen like the lemon off your cup of water, or like whatever you like garnish your drink with. So, I mean, I get why he kind of clowns on All for One here, but it's not like he does the craziest thing ever here. He's going piecemeal. And sure, All for One definitely could have done that, I guess. But like, this is the first time the quirks have really been individually manifested. So they were like easier to target. Once again, the whole spiritual world ratio to real world ratio is something I don't fully understand, though it was probably explained before. That's just a byproduct of MHA being 411 chapters long and having multiple reveals and explanations. I just genuinely don't remember everything. So I'm going to assume there's like some sort of, it's probably easier to target the individual quirks now that they've revealed themselves as individual quirks versus before where All for One kind of just had to reach in and hope he grabbed the right thing, if the right thing was even still there. Because I presume the main reason One for All kept escaping him is because every time he'd go to fight one of them, they would have already passed the quirk on. Like we see this with Nana Shimoda in particular. She was running off the fumes, like All Might was running off the fumes after he passed it to Midoriya. So there was nothing to steal other than maybe her base quirk, but even then she was most likely running off the fumes of her base quirk. So I'm leaning more towards that. And I still believe Shigaraki's being slightly, just a little bit, because why not leave? That's at least in my view, there's no reason for Shigaraki to stick around if he really doesn't care. He says, I couldn't care less, but you care just a little bit, bro. You care just a little bit, broski. Because, like, here's the thing. Even if he didn't care to steal the quirks or, like, have this engaged battle with One for All, as we see, he has, like, things he can fire from his hands. Specifically the hole in the palm of his hand. He could have just poked one straight through Midoriya's head. Remember, Midoriya only went for the fingers, which was smart because he went to avoid decay in particular. But like, if Shigaraki truly didn't care about Midoriya or anything like that, was just truly trying to execute him and not somewhat finish this battle between One for All and All for One, he would have just straight through Midoriya's head while he was off guard. Well, on guard, but like off guard in the point that he was going for the wrong thing, forgetting the who knows how many bajillion different quirks could have come out of Shigaraki's palm. So I don't know, Shigaraki. I want to buy that you're liberated from All for One, but not only with the statement from the previous chapter talking about how there's a trump card that is implanted within the original All for One vestige that is stuck inside you, and the fact that you're still engaging and playing patty cake when realistically there's no reason you need to. You're not the challenger here. Midoriya is the challenger. He's the one who has to come and chase you. I don't know, Shiggy, my boy. I think you're under the influence. If only a little, if only subconsciously. Because I don't know. I feel like the Shigaraki that I knew, he would have just dipped. He has no reason to engage. Especially since, like, he's alone now. Whether he realizes it or not. Like, he wants to destroy everything. Ultimately, he mentioned Spinner later on in this chapter, but Toga, well, he doesn't know. Well, he probably knows Twice is gone. But Toga, Twice, Dabi, Spinner, he's all alone now. And besides, if he truly is destruction incarnate, if he truly has no emotions, as he claims to later on in this chapter, and he's going to level Japan anyway, his friends live on Japan. They would be decay victims. They can't all fly. Like, at best, Dabi could fly for a little bit, and Spinner can't. Toga, maybe if she transforms into somebody who can fly, but that's about it. So, I don't know, Shiggy, my boy. I think you, not only do I think you're still human, I also think you're kind of playing into the whims of fate right now, bro. And that's actually an interesting thing. I do like and I may be reading too deep into it. That may just be me yappering on, but I do kind of feel like it. Especially the role that Shigaraki's trying to play later on in this chapter as like the great destroyer, a god of destruction, if you will. I can kind of smell that something's just a little bit up with that. But let's see. It happened so fast. Even the chair. No, not his chair. That is interesting though. So like they're like fundamentally tied to All for One I keep saying all for one. I'm sorry, I'm so bad with this. One for all. They're so fundamentally tied to one for all by their very nature that once one of them disappears, even their chair leaves. Which is interesting. If anything, like if I were, once again, if I were writing it, and I know I'm nowhere near the writer, artist, anything that Horikoshi is, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But considering the cup analogy that gets mentioned later and why Midoriya doesn't get any weaker despite losing a whole human being that was inside, I would have kept the chair. Because the vestiges are meant to be the quirks themselves. We see this with All for One. It's the same case with One for All, since they're pretty much born of the same metric. But what I would have said is the chair represents the power. The power in like the metaphysical or like physical sense, the power that was poured into the cup that is One for All. And thus it will stay. Meanwhile, the person represents the quirk, the ability that was poured into One for All, and they would disappear. But the chair disappearing entirely, once again, made me believe on a first read through that, oh, okay, so that like that whole chunk of power is gone. Because now, at least outside of this chair analogy mentioned later, there's nothing here in the Vestige world that now represents Shinomori or his donation to One for All. There's just not, like, with this disappearing, there's nothing left that represents him. But I'm guessing it's like I guess maybe the building itself represents, like, whatever they're standing on in the quirk void. That probably represents, like, the power. Once again, I don't remember. I'm confident there is some explanation for the Vestige world proper, because I don't think Hori would have gone 411 chapters deep, especially like 300 chapters after he introduced the Vestige world. Well, no, I think even longer. Like, he introduced the Vestige world as early as the Shinso fight with Midoriya. So that's like darn near 350 chapters ago. So I'm going to assume it's explained somewhere. I just forgot. Feel free to enlighten me in the comment section, because it's not the first time, it's not the last time. Your boy is just going to forget. Let's see. He got us. That means his hatred is stronger than all of our wills combined? I don't think so. Because then he would have stolen the cup. Like, at least in my opinion, he would have yanked One for All right out of Midoriya. I think N is a little bit confused here, because I once again believe that if Shigaraki actually got the whole alley-oop, Midoriya would be quirkless again. Because remember, One for All, the passing of it is the passing of the cup in full. When All Might ripped that strand of hair off, fed it to Midoriya, he transferred the whole cup over to Midoriya. But notably, once again, Shigaraki only stole a garnish, a piece of the cup, or like, I don't know, like, I think the garnish is the best example, because he literally stole the power. But, well, stole the quirk, Vestige, but not the power that Shinomori gave to One for All, if you know what I'm saying. So I think Ed is actually a little bit miscalculating here. I think, if anything, only his hatred was strong enough to instantly grasp one of you. Or maybe if Shinomori wasn't here, so there wasn't a danger sense user, then maybe while all of you were off guard, because none of you were facing him, which is still, once again, I just wonder how much of the metaphysical versus the real, metaphysical versus the imagery we get, I wonder how much is valid and how much isn't. Because I guess you could argue maybe he could have stolen everything. Or like maybe if he grabbed Yoichi in particular, maybe he would have been able to get the whole thing, because Yoichi's the basis for the quirk. Like, I'm not sure how that fully works. I don't know. But I do think N is actually a little bit incorrect here, because if he was stronger than all your wills, you all would have been God. Instantaneously. At least in my opinion. Let's see. Black whip plus Fajin plus gear shift, black chains. So I do appreciate, oh wait, no. It's not mentioned here. It's not mentioned here. I will appreciate something soon enough. I appreciate the chapter itself. Once again, I feel like I don't glaze Hori's art as consistently as I used to, just because I feel like some people get tired of the glazing, but man, Hori, just look at this one image, bro. The fact that I can still easily identify Deku and all of his limbs here, as well as every individual chain, and I can recognize every single quirk used on top of every individual chain, bro. Though technically this should be Black Whip plus Fajin plus Gear Shift plus Float, because he's currently flying right now. But we do see him go to ensnare Shigaraki, but what I do like is just an instantaneous thing. He just got Shinomori, but the quirk has already started activating. It shows that All for One it will just slurp you up, and you are now part of the power pool. No matter how independent quirks are revealed to be inside of the Vestige world, it doesn't really matter. In the case of All for One, you will be subjugated, and your ability will be used, because Shigaraki instantaneously got access to danger sense without even understanding it. Remember, there were multiple users after Shinomori who never unlocked Danger Sense, but Shigaraki, the moment he got Shinomori, boom, Danger Sense immediately activated. And even Shigaraki's like, oh, so that's how you've been dodging my attacks. You sneaky, sneaky boy. And we see Midoriya be shocked as he says, he's using Danger Sense. Yeah, Midoriya. He stole Danger. You know what? I want to chalk that up to Midoriya not knowing their names either. Like when Danjiro said, he stole Shinomori. Midoriya's like, which one of you was Shinomori? Hold on, let me just spam a whole bunch of quirks and see which one of you it was. Because what? He has 5 quirks? No. 6, 7? No. 6. He has 6 quirks. Because One for All is Yoichi, and he's the first user. Then 7th and 8th, or no, 8 and 9 are him and All Might, who are both quirkless. So he has Fajin, he has Black Whip, he has Gear Shift, he has Float, he has Smokescreen, and he has... Well, he had Danger Sense, but now that's gone. So I bet he literally just, like, spam activated all of them. Because what? He's using 4 out of the 5 that he still has. The only one he isn't using here is Smokescreen. So he's probably like, let me try all of them. Boom! And then he was like, oh, wait a minute, Danger Sense. But of course, I don't think Midori is that mean. It's just that he's genuinely shocked that, like me for a little bit, that the quirk was activated so quickly. Like, Shinomori isn't even fighting back at all in there. But presumably that's just not how All for One works. One for All may try to preserve your sentience and individuality. Meanwhile, you are just a power to All for One. And you're supposed to stay that way. Notably, I think the only 2 things to ever like inspire a quirk rebellion were All for One when he kept getting younger and younger and younger, and like his will couldn't override the countless quirks that existed inside him. In the case of Baby for One, the rebellion that was instituted by Stars and Stripes, fundamentally like using New Order as an attacking thing, like a virus essentially to invade Shigaraki, and Juro woke up some with her screen. Once again, I remember someone saying I was wrong about that, and I haven't reread that fight in a while. I forget how that works, but there was also some sort of rebellion there. So there are times the quirks can rebel inside All for One, but presumably Shigaraki, due to having the original, being a full-grown man, and being hatred incarnate and destruction incarnate, he just has complete dominion over them, no matter whether they like it or not. And we see Shigaraki declare, "You're still the biggest nuisance. So, I'll start by decaying you." And once again, Shiggy, my boy. Shiggy, I'm telling you, bro, you don't have to, like, maybe it's just B. I know, like, especially what I think, I know I find, especially when I read some of y'all comments, like, pencil, you cowardly individual, how dare you not stand and fight? But, like, I don't know, if I have a goal, I'm going to win. Like, if I want to destroy everything, and there's no reason for me to directly engage with my opponent, who has shown on numerous occasions throughout our entire little patty cake in the mid-air battle that he can do nothing to me, I don't care about him. Let him run off. Let him come back. He's not going to be able to run forever. If Shigaraki can destroy all of Japan in a week, I don't think Midoriya is going to go on and master 100% One for All in a week. I don't think Midoriya is going to be able to stay away from me for a week, because he's going to keep hearing and seeing me destroy everything. Like, there's no reason for Shigaraki to actually, like, stick around and engage unless something subconsciously is digging at him to, like, deal with One for All. Deal with One for All. Sure, as he says, he's the most annoying nuisance, but, like, for example, right? Say I was walking to the store because I wanted to pick up something for dinner, right? And a fly were to buzz by me, or like I walk, well, no, it's because it's an individual thing. Let's say a mosquito buzzed by my ear. The mosquito is annoying. The mosquito could be dangerous, maybe. And what I could do is turn and give all my attention to the mosquito and completely forget about the store. Or what I could also do is just walk away from the mosquito, go to the store, grab the stuff I need for dinner, and then go back home. But if the mosquito is the embodiment of my sworn enemy, Mosquito for All, and like it's my subconscious abilities are screaming at me to take out the mosquito, even if I can't realize it, because I'm still subconsciously being manipulated by the quirk, because we know quirks affect personalities, and All for One is now most likely the dominant quirk inside Shigaraki. I could see it. I could see that. because what he says here even goes into the hypocrisy. You were crying. I won't pretend I didn't see you. You're stuck in the past, Midoriya. Are you still treating me as a human being? Open your eyes. That's not who I am anymore. So, like, he's clearly just lying, or like wrong, or he's just being a hypocrite. Like, the fact that he's saying, you're stuck in the past, Midoriya. Like, Shigaraki. The whole reason you are destruction incarnate is because you are stuck in the past, bucko. No, for good reason. For good reason. Once again, I have a whole Dabi rewrite that I need to now rewrite the end of. I've been needing to rewrite the end of that for months now. I don't know. Like, the end of the Dabi subplot kind of makes me just want to drop it because I've already recorded it and I've already edited a decent chunk of it. But I'm like, at the same time, now I kind of want to alter it based on how Hori ended the story. But with that being, but then again, my ending is so fundamentally, I may have to do it anyway. But with that being the case, and Shigaraki, broski, I agree that your mania is justified because the house did terrible things to you, bucko. But you're stuck in the past. That's the whole reason you're destruction incarnate now, because of the past. You're still very clearly human, or else you'd be moving as destruction incarnate and just going to destroy everything. But you are clearly not. Like, bucko. Pal, amigo. Do you realize the words that are coming out of your mouth right now? Do you realize the actions you are undertaking? You are very clearly still a human being who is stuck in the past. Do I think that justifies Midoriya? Here's the thing, right? And I appreciate the comment. And I will admit, I can see what Midoriya is doing here, especially with now that I have the translations, I can see the hypocrisy, and I think that's what Midoriya is still banking on. The fact that Shigaraki is either lying to himself, or just being stupid, or just being a hypocrite. It's one of the 15 different options I just listed. Because clearly, Shigaraki's still trying to engage with Midoriya when he doesn't have to. Clearly, Shigaraki's still speaking coherent sentences. Clearly, Shigaraki's still walking down a path that is very human-esque, considering what he wants to do is based on something that happened when he was, though he is, still a human. So, like, I can definitely see where Midoriya is coming from. Do I think it's worth the risk? But then again, it's just clear to me so far that Midoriya at his safest output right now, the 60% plus Fajin plus gear shift, just isn't enough. Like, I can't get mad at Midoriya for not being able to put the guy down when he clearly just can't put the guy down. Like, as Don Jiboto mentions earlier, the main thing they need to get past is his regeneration. But that's pretty much impossible to do unless Midoriya pulls out more power. But when Midoriya starts to pull out more power, he's going to weaken himself even further. And once again, he hasn't even gotten a blowback from this use of gear shift yet. And once that kicks in, it's going to be even worse. So, like, I don't know. I'm not mad at Midoriya, and at this point I kind of understand it, but I'm leaning more towards a like Toga-esque end or a Dabi-esque end, where like they don't get saved. One offs themselves in the case of Toga, and the other is literally a torso. So like they're non-threats anymore. They were not saved nor redeemed. One just left the server, and the other one can't pick up the controller anymore, literally and figuratively. So I'm assuming something similar is going to happen to Shigaraki in order to guarantee that the man can't be a threat. Because currently, I don't know. I think, while I do agree with the common consensus that Shigaraki is still human, that there still is a person inside that could be talked to and reasoned with, I think he's a little bit too much of a liability. Heck, remember Dabi alone was about to wipe an entire city off the map, and Shigaraki's like 1,000 Dabis. Probably could do the damage of 1 billion Dabis and over the course of like a month. So I don't know. I get where Midoriya is coming from, and I get the whole humane thing, and I get the whole fixing of the cycle and the wanting to understand Shigaraki. But I think that's something you got to do post-mortem. I think you got to go with Gran Torino's idea of saving someone through liberation because he's just too dangerous. He's too much of a liability right now. He's too much of a threat to let exist. But of course, it's not like Midoriya can do anything about that right now, especially considering how weak he is relative to his fresh self. But of course, all that aside, we see Midoriya get smacked away, and he bounces in the ball of Black Whip, and he's huffing and puffing. Bro's taking some lethal damage from all the boosts and booms that Shigaraki hit him with. He literally, like you can see here, he throws Midoriya and his Black Whip cradle way far out. We see him realize, By covering myself with multiple layers of black whip, I can avoid fatal wounds. Oh shoot! Wait a minute. Nani daisuke no? My mask! Oh my god, it back for me. I mean, sweet gesture, bro, but you are currently fighting a demon. Priorities, broski, priorities. However, we do get to see that this is kind of like the last symbol of human kindness, that innate humanity that All Might and his friends help bring back from Midoriya. Midoriya, who's trying to become more of a idea or a concept or maybe herohood or saviorhood incarnate, like All Might was trying to be. It was the mask that was the symbol of his humanity and his connection to humans, and ultimately the mask being here is something that reminds Midoriya of the reason he's trying to save Shigaraki in the first place. Because even deep down, as a person who tried to become incarnate for something that's good and not something that's bad, he needs to be reminded of his humanity. He needs to be brought back from the brink, and he wants to do the same thing for Shigaraki. So I think that's why this is included here and given so much emphasis. I don't just think Midoriya is like zoning out in the midst of the fight of his life against Shigaraki. I think he's generally just like, oh, this is important. This is the main reason I'm doing what I'm doing. Let me lock back in. But of course, we get to see, I meant to look up his name. I completely forgot. Fajin. We see Fajin comes out and says, to think you just equipped it to keep breathing as the waves hit you. And look at where we are now. You two are on another level. Which is so funny. But then again, he's like he's the third user, I think. So he's what, like the weakest? One of the weaker One for All users? But we see that Midoriya, man, this is such a good panel of Midoriya, bro. Hurry with the pen. A demon, I tell you. A demon. Just a demon. But we see he's at Mount Fuji. Now, I don't know where they were, relatively speaking, before they ended up at Mount Fuji. And I don't know where Mount Fuji is. I am horrible with geography. But presumably they're very far inland. So it is kind of impressive that Shigaraki just, woo! Remember, I mean, he probably used some quirks to boost it, but he's just prime All Might level. It's something that could be done by All Might. He could just knock people to Mount Fuji if he felt like it. But, of course, you see that Fajin. Interesting that it's Fajin who comes out and says this and not Bakugo's, like, earlier time self that says this. But Fajin says, gear shift will be over soon. Bro, that's not your quirk. How you know that? How you know that? But of course he's in One for All. That's how he knows it. But still, it is kind of funny that Fajin is the one who reminds Midoriya. Though I do like this, because you've heard me complaining for a little bit. I'm like, where's the blowback? Where's the blowback for gear shift? I thought this was the final time you could use gear shift. How's bro still using gear shift? Blah, 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 blah. But no, it's just he's on a continuous state of gear shift, which is fine. I mean, it seems gear shift, ironically enough, has felt entirely useless ever since it was introduced. I mean, it allowed him to dog on all for Rocky. Like, all for Shigaraki, but like that just made Shigaraki wake up. It made All for One pass out, which led to this current scenario, which I guess is preferable for Midoriya, but it didn't do any real serious or permanent damage to Shigaraki. Currently, it wasn't fast enough to allow Midoriya to avoid Shigaraki and keep danger sense, and now it's about to run out without doing anything. So I'm hoping in this next chapter it does something crazy, because it is going to be over soon. So Midoriya is going to experience the blowback. Now, soon could be real time soon, where it's going to end in like a minute, or it could be Namek Saga soon, where it won't end for like another 15 chapters. Considering if Midoriya gets the blowback and it's anything decent, Shigaraki should instantly execute him. I'm going to lean towards Namek time. Gear shift will be over soon, aka the end of the battle. That or the consequences just won't matter. And then he's going to use it again. I'm hoping it's the first, despite how weird that would make the pacing of the fight. They're fighting extremely fast, so I honestly wouldn't mind the first one. But that being the case, you see Fajin say, he only stole the quirk itself. Your physical strength remains the same. That's because it's the power stored within One for All, not our quirk factors. You must stand your ground until you are feeling better. But once again, not really. Not really. I mean, not even in the sense that, oh, this doesn't make sense. This makes sense. Once again, like I've mentioned a billion times before in this video, the cup analogy makes sense to me. The quirk factors are garnishes. The cup itself is One for All, and the drink that's inside the cup is the power that each individual poured into it. That makes sense. My thing is, though, I don't think he should stand his ground until he feels better. He needs to go now. Like, because once again, he's the challenger here. I keep going back. I try not to spoil another major popular manga, but if you know, you know. But right now, in this current point in time, I don't think being passive and trying to wait to feel better is a good idea when gear shift is about to run out. Shigaraki is clearly now fully equipped to react to a lot of Midoriya's abilities already. with danger sense, and the fact that if he loses gear shift, he's going to experience the blowback. Now's not the time to play patty cake. Now's the time to push. Like it sounds horrible, but you have to double down in this scenario. You're gonna have to go full egoist and drive fully for the goal right now. Because if you don't, what happens when you're weaker? And then Shigaraki goes for your cheeks. Like, I'm just saying, bro, it's not gonna be pretty. This won't be pretty. Like, legit, it will not be. So I'm not too sure about that, Fajin. That may not be the best play here. However, we do get to see that N brings up a pencil type of idea. Though admittedly, I would disagree with this one just because of the nature and what I just covered. N says, or smokescreen, which is unbelievable, the most useless quirk. The most insanely useless quirk in One For All. I don't know why. I actually gotta have a bad one somewhere, because smokescreen is, when was the last time, the last time you used it was against like Lady Nagat. I feel like it was just introduced for that fight, and then like then Hori forgot about it. She's like, wait a minute, maybe I can't use this anymore, and this was only very specifically good against the sniper, because everyone else that Midoriya is going to fight can kind of just see through him anyway, and he probably wouldn't use it. But with that being the case, and I do like this though, because this once again fits into the whole idea of quirks influencing characters and characters influencing quirks. So why isn't he using his superhuman strength to run away? And Don Jaboro is like, and we see Anne goes, Shinomori-san was able to protect us thanks to danger sense. If the ninth gets touched again, for even a second, there may be no escape for any of us. Which is true. But once again, the reason I like that it's N saying this is because what is his quirk? Smokescreen. Bro's used to hiding. So, of course, his main idea would be to run away. But once again, the issue is, you run away for how long? You leave Shigaraki alone for how long? How much destruction can he wreak if you leave for a day? For a minute. Like, once again, this is the same man when he was incomplete who leveled an entire city by touching the ground like once. You leave this man be? You let him whip it up in the kitchen a little bit? You let this man cook? And you're gonna have to like fly overseas to keep running, and then keep running again, and then keep running again. Like, I don't think this is the wave, broski. You're gonna need to engage now. You're gonna have to push. Unfortunately, you may be down 0-3, but you're gonna have to push. So you gotta make that Cavaliers comeback right now, bro. Because right now this ain't the way. Ooh, sorry. But with that being the case, we see that even Yoichi's like, once N says it'll be the end for us, even Yoichi realizes that. He may be spitting, but right now there's no choice. And we see Shigaraki say, I can see you there, ghost. Are you discussing why you should run away? And I love how N's like, oh, wait, me? I would never. Me be a coward? I would never do that. But Shigaraki's walking down and he's like, you've gotten stronger by fleeing and passing your power to the next user. So I'll destroy all of you right now. There will be no place left to run. By the end, it'll be a giant wasteland, just like Spinner wanted. This is a line I don't get and don't remember. And this hurts me, because I'm a big Spinner stan before he got turned into, like, allegory fodder and literally a brain-dead monster. But, like, when did he ever say this? When was Spinner ever, I want a giant wasteland? Shiggy, are you projecting? Mr. I'm not human anymore, caring about your friends? Destruction Incarnate wouldn't care about his friends. Like, Shiggy, you do realize if you destroy all Japan, that's where Spinner lives. Bro can't fly. He's not a dragon. He doesn't have wings. If you destroy all Japan, he's not gonna have anywhere to go, man. So, like, I'm not sure where this statement comes from. I don't remember Spinner ever saying that. But maybe I just forgot. Would not be the first time. Will not be the last time. But once again, Shiggy, bro, leave, like, just destroy everything then. Like, they can only run so far. You will catch them accidentally. If you ever start destroying an area they're in while they're asleep, cooked, vaporized, deatomized, and like, bro, they're not a threat to you. Like, you would have, presumably, if, say, Midoriya were to find somebody else to pass it on to, not only would they probably instantaneously explode if they had a quirk beforehand, but even if they didn't, they're likely going to go through the same thing Midoriya did, where they're going to have to go through a whole process to unlock everything. In Shigaraki, presumably, if you destroy Japan in a week, I know Japan is like a fraction of the size of the rest of the world, but you destroy Japan in a week, it'll probably take you at most 2 years to level everything else. Midoriya can't run from you forever. The quirkless individual that they pass on for all to can't run from you forever, bro. I think you'll be fine. Just leave. But of course, I think his humanity, his desire to reconnect, his years of playing Kingdom Hearts have finally caught up to him, as he wants to reconnect with One for All and possibly destroy it so it'll never become a threat to him again. Once again, if you're Destruction Incarnate, at the end of the line, kind of like how Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan, when he became a Titan, he's like, I'll destroy them all, including myself. Shiggy, my boy, you're going to destroy yourself soon enough anyway, so just leave him be. But of course, we see he has started the destruction of Mount Fuji, and he says, it's all going down, starting with Mount Fuji. And once again, bro, the hair looks beautiful, the walk looks beautiful, the destruction of the landscape looks beautiful. Hori, a demon with the pen. And we see him start to break it down. he's so ugly though. Like, like this is a fantastically drawn panel, but man, bro, you are so, once again, all them quirks and not a little bit of Vaseline, not a little bit of skincare. Everyone never got that quirk for you, huh, bro? What? Bro, go bathe or something. You look disgusting. But of course, we see, stop calling him, you know his name. But boy, he let us here on purpose. If Mount Fuji gets destroyed, there'll be lava everywhere. Dog. If you don't stop Shigaraki, there'll be more than lava everywhere. There's going to be bodies. Well, there won't be bodies. Everything will be decayed. Chill out, bro. Yoji-san, at this point, he's not all for one successor. Look at it, and hype. Once again, Shigaraki gets some of the most hype from some of the most random characters, like end of all characters dropping this bar. At this point, he's not all for one successor. He lives for the joy of breaking it all. He's destruction incarnate. Ugh. Dropping bars. Bro's a god of destruction. Not even a god, he's destruction incarnate. Whew. Dropping bars on him like that. But of course, this is the main reason and why you cannot run away, for destruction incarnate will destroy it all. However, of course, with this removal of Shigaraki's humanity, this idea that he's destruction incarnate, Midoriya fights back. As he says, all of this is part of a bigger picture, deep inside. And we get a flashback to the discussion they had right before the Second War. I have no clue what's obvious for her. You're human. And we see Japan is about to get destroyed, but Deku won't give up. Shigaraki lights up with a grin as Midoriya, presumably considering his tool is not in that way, but his support item is expanding here. He's presumably about to go towards 100%. Like he may level it up to 70 to 80 to 90, possibly to 100, because he needs the extra power and speed to now keep it with Shigaraki, who can now read all of his attacks. And I do like how you can tell this next attack is going to be very, very dangerous based on the fact that Shigaraki doesn't just have one bolt. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate bolts of danger sense, meaning that Shigaraki realizes even he's in danger. But with that being the case, I agree with Midoriya. He is human. He is very much human. And Shigaraki by proxy is also human. Meaning somewhere deep within, despite how much of a destruction incarnate he may be, no matter how much destruction he's wreaked, no matter how many lives he's ruthlessly taken, all for his own pleasure or anything like that, there's still a guy in there. Maybe a guy who can be reasoned with. Maybe a kid who deserves to be saved. And ultimately, that's Midoriya's end goal here. To end the cycle of violence between One for All and All for One. Not through some big final climactic battle, but through a resolution of two people. The boy who wanted to be a hero with another boy who wanted to be a hero. So overall, a W chapter. Once again, I do appreciate Shigaraki just getting to Rocky out a little bit. Once again, the only weird thing that feels kind of funny is him not leaving, but I've repeatedly been justifying that throughout this chapter. I don't really mind that because I think it makes sense. It's just this line, just like Spinner wanted. I don't know. That feels like a bid to once again remind us that he's human, but like I don't remember Spinner ever saying that, but I know one of y'all is gonna pull up in the comments with the exact chapter and page where he said that. So feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this Visumo, please leave the God of Destruction in the comment section down below. As I thank you so much for watching, please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come on the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as little as $1 a month, get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as little as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the 20-minute live reaction to this very chapter. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Red Wolf 4765, Greyhound, and Akid's Void. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, DemXLND, and Igneal. And I'd like to give a chunky old thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. And I'd like to give another chunka dunka thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, Idemokami, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a hefta tractor thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another giga gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.